Today we have Dr. Mustafa from FC College University, and he also represents Khwarizmi Science Society. I will leave it to him to introduce himself, but what I can promise is that you're about to have a very good time. It's going to be very interesting because Dr. Mustafa has been doing a lot of work in promoting STEM education and in invoking interest in science. We all study science, but having an interest in science is a different thing. So over to you, Dr.
Thank you very much. Let me start with the presentation right away. Theoretically, I should explain or introduce myself to you guys. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
I'll make it sure, don't worry. Am I audible to you? Okay, so theoretically, I should introduce myself to you guys, but I'm just leaving it for the very last moment. I'll try to introduce myself after the first session. So this is the time to work, so let's start working and let's help ourselves to talk with each other or to introduce ourselves with the help of our work. So my job today with you guys to help you to understand that how we can change the dynamics of our classrooms. The title of the talk, as you can see, is the agenda-based classroom. That means when we start teaching, we were trained, and I am one of them who were trained like that. We have a dedicated topic or a chapter or something to speak. And when we go to the class, we start speaking about that stuff. And usually it's like a one-way lecture, and students will have to listen whatever things we are speaking to them. And at the end of the day, we assume that we have completed our job. And that is fine. I mean, for many years it was fine. But the way the science and technology and the society and the access to information changed the world, this is not enough anymore. For example, let me tell you a little interesting thing. It might be wondering for the younger lads out there that when I was trying to search an international university for my MSc and for my masters back in 1999, please do not guess my age. So at that time, it was so difficult for us to get to know about the universities present in UK, USA, or in other parts of Europe. You need to write a letter. Imagine, you need to write a letter and send that letter to the university. The university will going to take the letter, or they will not going to take the letter, I don't know. But they will going to take some time and then answer your query. Whether you are asking for a perspective, whether you are asking for a program, whether you are asking for a faculty or about a scholarship and something like that. Like it took like months and months to correspond with an international university at that time. Most of us don't even know that these things actually exist over there. So, but now today, if I ask you guys, then you guys can get all that information in a click of the second. Whatever was told to me by my teachers at that time was like a fact, was like a truth, was like my religious obligation to believe in everything. Whether it was about the East Pakistan, whether it was about the creation of Pakistan or ideology of Pakistan or whatever the history of Pakistan and whatever the truth they have told us. And I believe that most of them did a wonderful job by sharing the true knowledge with my generation and with my older generation. But today, we are living in an entirely different world. Whatever I am speaking to you guys, I am talking about the current students. And whatever I am speaking in my classroom, my students, like, they have the access to information and to the knowledge as well as to all the sources out there. For example, if I am supposed to be a teacher like 30 years ago, 35 years ago, I might talk about a war between Pakistan and India in one perspective, and that was the perspective of Pakistan. And I should speak in this way. This is like my patriotic obligation. I should support my country. But today's students do have an access to the other options as well. They can check the facts and figures in the perspective of the other party, in the perspective of the international community. So the access to information is changed a lot in the last 20 years. So the way we were teaching is not actually helping our students, and they are actually creating more distance between the students and the teacher over the period of time. And frankly speaking, you guys sometimes do believe that कुछ नहीं पता, हमें तो इनसे ज़्यादा पता है, they don't know how to use the social media and other things. We can get the information more quicker than them. So how we can deal with this ever-growing distance between the students and the teachers? What is not right at this point of time? What we need to change in ourselves? That is the agenda of my lecture or my day with you guys. But for this particular talk, I will try to demonstrate and I will try to share my knowledge with you guys, and that is how we learn from each other. I usually learn from my students. Most of the time I learn from my students. And we will going to learn the things from each other, that how we can create a classroom with an agenda to achieve something at the end of the class, and how we can make our assessments at the end of the class. That I wanted to achieve the transfer of that much knowledge to my students, and whether I am able to achieve that thing or not. Usually teachers get their responses from the students later on. बहुत मजा आया lecture का, that teacher was amazing, it was amazing, and that is how we evaluate ourselves कि oh मैं अच्छा teacher हूँ या मैं अच्छा teacher नहीं हूँ, that lecture was wonderful or not. But this is not scientific way to evaluate yourself. There should be some means, some quantitative means that I can measure that I have delivered a lecture and whether this lecture actually address the learning outcomes or not. And whatever the things I will going to show you in the upcoming slides, believe me, they are like universal for all subjects areas. I am a PhD in medical sciences from Yonsei University, which is one of the best university in South Asia. Sorry, not in Asia, in South Korea. And I am a PhD in the field of breast cancer. But that will not going to affect my communication with you guys, because I'm not going to use any hardcore versions of science. I like and I want you guys that together we will going to unveil some secrets of learning. We'll try to understand how we learn things and what are the best possible ways to transfer that information to you guys. So that is like the first episode of our today's session. So we will start with our understanding about the, you like the episodes? Episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. So that is how the lecture will go. Okay? Because I am sure that it will going to help you a lot, because we will going to talk with each other like for the next 2 hours or so. So episode 1, that we should understand why we are here, what that stuff is. And we heard that stuff, the word STEM a lot over the period of time. Everyone had their own understanding and own information about the STEM. So what that thing is, we should be very clear about that stuff. Otherwise it is difficult to understand something which we don't know what that stuff is. So let's take some keywords from you guys. And please, when you answer, do not bother that your answer is not nice, it's not true, it's not accurate, it's stupid. Remember, I mean, no student can make any sort of, you can say, wrong answers. They will never, it will never be like this. So just feel free, relax and comfortable in answering in whatever comes into your mind. That will help me to evaluate our session and to speak in the way I should. Okay? So when the word STEM comes first in your mind, when you heard the word STEM, what comes into your mind? Okay? That will give me the keywords. G. Science and technology. G. Engineering. Management. Somebody speaks management. M for management. That's cool. G. Mathematics. So it's more or less like an abbreviation. It just comes into our head that STEM is a sort of some sort of abbreviation. Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That is something, some sort of science that we know about the STEM. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Do you know this guy?
Yes.
Who knows? Please introduce the guy. ये कौन है? अगर आप हैरी पॉटर फैन नहीं है तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. This is one of the best headmaster of one of the famous school in the history of the world, and that is the School of Magic. The name of the school is Hogwarts, and the name of this professor, Professor Dumbledore. He is one of the best professors out there. Of course, it's like a mythical character and a mythical story. If you are not a Harry Potter fan, that is fine. I don't want you guys to be a Harry Potter fan, because it's like it will going to consume a month from you to read and to see the movies for that. He once said during a movie that we must all face the choice between what is right and what is easy. So that's what we are up to at this moment in our lifetime. So there is a way to teach things in a better way. There are ways to communicate with you guys in a better way, but that is a sort of difficult. That is a sort of stuff which requires extra energy, extra effort, extra time, it is sort of a thing which it seems to be a burden. But the problem is that we need to choose that stuff which is right. Whether it is hard or it is a difficult job or it is a job which requires extra points of energy from your side. So I like the code, so that I am just putting that code here. So let's start with our objectives of education. I'm just getting data from you guys, okay? I'm just getting information with my questions. So first we should know what is the objective of education. Whatever we are studying, why we are studying all those things. What are the things we want to achieve? G, objective of education. Shabash, tell me the keywords. A good proposal, a good job. It makes sense? I'm just giving you few keywords. Please add more.
A good future.
A good future. G.
A stable career.
A stable career. Shabash. Objective of it. You know, we are actually trying to summarize why we are studying. G. Shabash.
So stable personality.
Stable personality. G. Although I know many professors, they are very famous. You know, professors पहले दीपे बनते हैं. You know that? You know that? वो थोड़े से साइंसदान खास हैं. वो सीधी बातें भूल जाते हैं. मुश्किल बातें याद रखते हैं. But they forget the SMS was there. वापसी में पैम्पर लेकर आना, and you forget that. I mean, you remember the genetic mutations of so many different genes at the same time, and you forget. Oh, पैम्पर ले लेके गया. वापस जाएंगे. That's. So, education. The objective of education. The world believes, whatever the data I will be showing, these are the research data, the quantitative data which was generated out of different types of studies. The world believes that education is a source for the society to have people healthier, to have healthier people, better health. Education is there to raise better crops, means the food. Education is there to save children's lives. This is the data from the world. दुनिया इस तरह सोचती है education के बारे में. The objective of education is to promote girls and women rights. I don't know why not the men's right, but anyways. So since the world is believing in this way, so I like to believe in the same way as well. To increase the income, that makes sense, and to reduce the poverty, and to boost economic growth, and ultimately to foster the peace in the society. So that is the primary agenda of education. Okay? But what are the best ways of education out there? Once again, the data which I am showing you, it is based on the studies. It's not what I believe, it's not what I like, it's not what I believe it is right or wrong. It is something which was generated out of different studies. When I study with the help of reading, the retention rate of that information in my mind is 10%. I mean, just imagine when I'm reading a book or I'm trying to get information from the newspaper or from any book in the library, the retention rate of that information is just 10%. And look at, when I listen an information from someone, from your teacher, from your friends, from other people, the retention rate goes to 20%. And then when I view pictures, it goes to 30%. When I watch movies, it increases the retention rate. It's much easier for us to remember Dil Wale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge as compared to any other book on geography or in other social sciences. And that makes sense. That means there is something out there which helps us to retain the information. We just need to learn that secret and apply that secret to the education, and that's all. Now, why it is easier for us to watch a movie and to retain the story for a longer period of time? We not only retain the story, but we also try to talk with each other and even quarrel with each other, fight with each other on the conclusion of the movie. Because we believe this character is performing in this way because of that stuff. The other person believes, no, he has a different agenda in his mind, and blah, blah, blah. We are talking on something which we just see in the movie. So what is the secret in that stuff? Why we are retaining that information longer than the education content? So how about extracting that knowledge, extracting that secret, and apply that secret on education? And then when you go up, you see, if you participate in an activity, that means you can retain that stuff for a very, very long period of time. That is a general law, a fact at the present moment. These are the best ways to keep the knowledge for a longer period of time. The big difference between the knowledge is that what we have learned over the, when I said me, I include myself in a different generation than you guys. You guys means the students. We believe that teaching in the classrooms is more or less like the transfer of knowledge. Something I know and I need to transfer that information. I am carrying a bucket with the knowledge. My students are coming and I am filling their buckets. It's more or less like that. Imagine if I can transfer all of my knowledge to my students, which I don't want to. I don't know my student want it or not. So if I transfer all of my knowledge to my students, what I will going to do? I will going to produce or reproduce, or I am going to create my copies. There will be a lot of Dr. Mustafas over there. And that is not a growth. The world don't need any Dr. Mustafa. It's already there. So if I transfer all of my information to you guys or to my students, that means I am not contributing in generation of knowledge. I am able to transfer the knowledge. That is fine, that is the minimum agenda, but that should not be the target of a teacher. A teacher's target is to try to help their students to achieve this wonderful thing which I call as generation of knowledge. Instead of taking my knowledge, the students are supposed to learn the methods how to generate their knowledge. Ji ma'am.
So is it a difference between a teacher-centered approach and student-centered approach?
That's also there. The question is that is there a difference between a teacher-centered approach or a student-centered approach? Ma'am, before I answer this question, I just like to just make one more statement, few more statement. We, most of us, we means the teachers, the traditional teacher who used to speak in the classrooms, who are speaking on the whiteboards, using the delivering lectures on a daily basis. We, the unfortunate teachers, we never studied, most of us never studied education at all. We are teachers by hit and trial methods. We are teachers since we started teaching someone, to our little kids, to our younger brothers and sisters, who we started teaching them. From there we just realized and came to know that I can transfer information comfortably. This is my profession. But there is a dedicated field called education. These are the people who actually understand and know that what are the modalities involved in the process of education. What we have learned, all of those information, just hit and try. I taught that lecture in this way, that lecture went wonderful. And I had no idea that why that lecture went wonderful. I just have had my experience. I have no scientific, quantitative answer of that stuff, that why that lecture was just wonderful. So the education, the people from the, when somebody asked me, what was your approach in teaching, and I was like blind. I never studied education in my life. I have no idea the principles of education, and that is where I was wrong. I'm supposed to be a teacher and I was not studying education. That how we need to educate. So there are different types of approaches, as ma'am has mentioned, like a teacher-centered approach or a student. Teacher-centered approach means you can say, which actually, if I speak a little bit unkind towards teacher, which is like favoring the teacher. Or a student-centered approach is something where I put my student in the most preference and I change myself according to him or her, instead of they change according to themselves for me. So that's, I will talk on these things, by the way, in the coming slide. So for me, education is more or less like, it's not like transferring of knowledge, it's not like piling filling of a pile, but instead it is igniting the thirst, it is igniting the spark to generate their knowledge. So let's come back to the central theme of the first episode, that what that STEM stuff is. By abbreviation, that means it's about science, technology, engineering and mathematics. For decades and decades, I can tell you, my generation and the people who are like me, who are older than me, they are very unfortunate as compared to you guys. I can tell you, you are wonderful for many, many reasons. The STEM, by technology, that means like, we were told there are subject areas. अगर आपने FSC में मैथ रख लिया है, खबरदार बायोलॉजी की किताब देखिए. You are not allowed to see biology. You are not supposed to look at the biology book at all after that. अगर आपने FSC में pre-medical रख लिया है, never think about mathematics at all. I mean, that is where we were so wrong in our education. Because these people will going to create the society, and there is no subject division in the society. The world, the jobs, your lifestyle, does not care whether you study biology or not.
डॉक्टर साहब आपको इंटरप्ट करके सबको अच्छी खबर दूँ, हमने पेडेस्ट्रल फैंस का बंदोबस्त करने की कोशिश की जो नहीं हो सका क्योंकि यूनिवर्सिटी में जो थोड़े से मौजूद थे वो जहाँ एग्जाम हो रहा है वहाँ नहीं, तो अब हम इमीडिएटली बंदा भेज के आबिद मार्केट से वो पेडेस्ट्रल फैन बनाने लगे। तो आप
गर्मी लग रही है आप लोगों को?
डॉक्टर साहब आप वो है
I was thinking that they are fine. Yeah, you are wonderful actors.
आपको क्या
नहीं मुझे नहीं लग रहा है fine. I thought they are fine too.
बहरहाल
Yes, it will be.
trainings is going to be in other days also, so at least 2 pedestrian fans are coming. जिसको ज़्यादा गर्मी लगी बिल्कुल उसके ऊपर लगा।
Thank you. Please be brave. Okay, I'm sorry for the weather conditions, but that is fine. Okay. So let's see. The first agenda. STEM is not about the abbreviation of these things. It's a way of communicating information. It's a way of teaching. It's a modality. It's a new modality which rest of the world is following. So the first agenda or objective of the STEM education is to break the traditional concept of boundaries between the subjects. I can tell you, as a humble professor, and I'm supervising a lot of MPhil students and the PhD students over there, and I am the one person who studied pre-medical in my FSc. So that means I never studied mathematics after that. मेरे लिए mathematics कोई बहुत ही कोई अजीम शान कोई जिसको हाथ देख जिसको देखना जिसको टच करना हो, I never studied mathematics. I never studied statistics in my life. आप guess कर सकते हैं FSc में प्री मेडिकल रख लिया तो गए काम से इसके बाद मैथ्स नहीं मिलेगा, स्टैट नहीं मिलेगी, और I was trained to think in this way. I was trained to think. Now I can tell you, I cannot execute my job. I cannot work as a good professor if I don't understand mathematics or if I have no knowledge about the statistics. I cannot make conclusions out of the biological data. I mean biological data. I am wonderful in DNA. I have completed my PhD. How genes are regulated. I am special. I consider myself that. Don't take it seriously. But I am dependent on the knowledge of the people who have studied mathematics, who have studied on statistics. I cannot publish my single paper, so that whatever the hell I have studied over the last 30 years was nothing without the information of these people. That is how the world has changed. That is how the world is different now. They are speaking more important thing than us. So that is how the world is different. So that means even I have considered myself as a person who can understand DNA, genes and biology very well. I cannot publish, I cannot contribute in research publication if I have no knowledge about mathematics, if I have no knowledge about statistics. Zero. That is how the world is different now. It was not the case 10 years ago, it was not the case 20 years ago, but that is our ultimate reality. So how I can teach you guys, how I can push you guys not to think about mathematics because it is not your subject. Not to think about statistics, it is not your subject. Not to think about computer science, it is not for you. This is like an obsolete idea, with all due respect. I was raised with that idea, so I am the first culprit, you can say, or a victim. But I don't want you guys to think as well. As a teachers, when you will be there in the future, in the near future, you guys are supposed to break these boundaries, and that is the objective agenda of the STEM. To help their students to feel there is no boundary between the subjects. Okay? The next, I need to speak louder because of the pedestal fan, but I don't mind. It's okay. The next is we need to learn how to find answers instead of delivering a lecture about the facts. We need to help our students to learn that technique, how to find the answers of a certain scientific problems. Those scientific problems may belong to the geography, it might belong to the environmental sciences, it might belong to the other areas. They are universal ways, but we need to focus that we need to help our students to find answers. You know, there are certain ways to find answers we will discuss. The third agenda of the objective of our plan, of the STEM plan, is that to get knowledge and get something from the knowledge. You know, most of us who are seniors in their undergrad studies, कौन है जो senior undergrad studies में? जो undergrad studies में जो final years में हैं, they are about to complete their degrees. Okay, thank you very much. Please help me. I can figure out from your expressions that even after spending 4 years, you might be wondering, मैं इसमें क्यों आ गई? मतलब why I am here? But I will going to produce. जब मम्मा कहती है कि तेरे से चंगी रोटी तो वो पका लेती है, मतलब हमें क्या फायदा आपके 4 साल की डिग्री का? How I can contribute to the world out there with my degree? Whatever I have studied in the classroom, can I use that knowledge to fix something? Can I use that knowledge to answer a problem? Can I use that information to fix something out there? दुनिया में कोई मसला है, कोई प्रॉब्लम है, हॉस्पिटल में कोई प्रॉब्लम है, रीजनल प्लानिंग में, सिटी प्लानिंग में प्रॉब्लम. Can I use my knowledge to fix that problem or not? This is the ultimate objective of this time. Like using education to solve the things, using education to answer the problems. So it's not about learning science. It's not about learning, technology or mathematics or engineering. It's about achieving these objectives with the help of teaching. And that is we expect from you guys that अगर हमने आपको इस तरह का पाकिस्तान दिया है, so you guys will going to give a better Pakistan to my grandchildren. So that is what we expect कि आप इसको इन boundaries को break करें. The next is that is how we used to study and teach in the past many decades. And I don't want to undermine the efforts of the wonderful teachers in the past. They have done an extremely wonderful job. And as I explained in my earlier part, at that time it was perfect. That we used to give students something to read, we teach them and ask them to memorize that information, and then the student practice that information. Then we create a question and assessment method or to recite that information for us. And last but not the least, based on that information the student is giving us back, we give them the grades. Most of us educated in this way. And there is no concept of supporting the students to help how to generate new knowledge. So whatever the data I am giving here, even the student is wonderful. The student can cram everything present in these textbooks. Still he might not be able, he will never be able to generate new knowledge because he don't understand the principles. He is perfect because he can learn things better. And students को बड़ा problem होता है आपस में, बहुत गुस्सा भी करते हैं इस बात के ऊपर कि उसकी learning इतनी अच्छी है, टीचर जो पढ़ाता सब उसको याद हो जाता है और हमें वो problem होती है. The STEM education select a different route, and this is the ultimate way of generation of new knowledge, irrespective of the subject, irrespective of the area, irrespective of your specialty. This applies to every version of knowledge. It starts with the method and the observation and the questions and the hypothesis and the experiment and the analysis and then the conclusion. Creating your class to achieve that route, to achieve that pathway will trigger the generation of knowledge in your students. Even if the situation changes, even if the circumstances changes, the student have the capacity, they have the power and strength to deal with the new situation after that. We train them how to, एक डॉक्टर के पास अगर मुझे मरीज ने इस तरह की symptoms बोली हैं तो I will give them that medicine. The generation of knowledge helps the doctors to understand and to relate the information in multiple ways to make better decisions. But it starts from the observations and the questions. I will stick on these 2 points on this slide only. We as a teachers, I'm actually blaming myself every time first, okay, before I point or raise objections to the system. We are the ones who do not appreciate questions very well, who do not encourage students to create their questions very well, because of, and that environment of fear undermine the students' capacity to generate their own knowledge. Observation is something which actually the start of the new knowledge. For example, we heard that during the 16th century there was a scientist called Hooke. He has discovered the microscope, and after that we came to know that every living thing is made up of small little bit of cells. It makes sense? Yes. But the cells do exist before 1600. but we have no idea that these things exist over there. जैसे आपने सुना होगा अपने मम्मा से, पापा से, ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स से, साढ़े ज़माने ते कैंसर नहीं सी हुंदा ते शुगर नहीं सी हुंदी लोकां नूं. It was like that. During the 16th century, someone is saying, हमारे ज़माने में तो cells नहीं होते थे. Living things are not made up of cells, but living things are made of cells. But we don't know. But there is no difference whether we accept it or not. I usually ask my students a question that what happens if Newton's failed to discover the gravity at that time. अगर उसके सामने एप्पल नहीं गिरता तो क्या होगा? 100 साल के बाद किसी के सामने गिरता है किसी और तरह से, क्या ग्रेविटी में फर्क पड़ता? प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ ग्रेविटी में फर्क पड़ता? We were late to reach that time. The world will be late. The technology will be late. 100 years का डिफरेंस पड़ जाता है हमारी टेक्नोलॉजी शिप में, लेकिन ग्रेविटी को फर्क पड़ता है. That is how facts change. If I am not accepting the way we are generating the knowledge, if I am not accepting those things, it will not affect these principles. It will affect us. We will be late in getting there. We will be late in raising the standards of education in our classrooms, in our universities. So we should encourage our students to use their observations and to create questions. Remember, no questions are stupid. मैंने आज तक अपनी जिंदगी में कोई बोंगा क्वेश्चन नहीं देखा. No questions are stupid. Only answers are stupid. Question कभी stupid नहीं होता. No matter from where it is coming, in what perspective it is coming. And of course, if you able to communicate with the students and with the audience, with the help of the questions, the audience feel more comfortable and engaged. Asking questions and replying to the questions of these people, I mean, it's such an encouraging stuff that the person will like to find the next step. If we discourage our students at the state of observation and at the state of asking their questions, that means we are stopping the wonderful mechanism of generation of knowledge. We will going to produce the same Dr. Mustafa in our class. They will be like me. They will be like me. There will be no better person than me will be available in the classroom. And that is the ultimate failure of every teacher. Students बोलते हैं सर हम आपकी तरह का बनना चाहते हैं, हम आपकी तरह का बनना चाहते हैं, but this is not the agenda. This is not the ultimate goal of any teacher. A good teacher wants his or her students to be better than them. That's all. So that is how we are trying to understand the STEM. Sometimes it actually little bit scary to think कि अगर हमने ये टेक्नोलॉजी और इस मेथड और इनोवेशन को अडॉप्ट करना है, we might need new training. What are the things we need to know? हमें तो ट्रेडिशनल टीचिंग आती है, हमें तो एक खास तरह से सिखाया गया, हम उसी तरह से सिखाना जानते हैं. Any new training is required for the STEM-based education? Do we need any new instruments? Do we need new books? There is some new books we might be needing. The answer is no. We don't need anything. The STEM needs an innovation out of the available things we have. It's all about our mindset. It's all about the way we are thinking about science and delivering the lectures. I will going to deliver the same information, but I will make sure that that information is transferred in a wonderful way. That information is transferred in a way that the students are able to generate their new knowledge. And we don't need anything else. We need to encourage the observations of the students and especially the observation-based questions. The pandemic was there, the COVID was there. A student might be encouraged to speak and to ask, पहले अल्फा वेरिएंट था, फिर डेल्टा वेरिएंट आ गया, अब ओमिक्रॉन आ गया, इनमें क्या डिफरेंस होता है? Why, how I can manage the city traffic with the help of public transport better than the private cars? Observation में फंस जाता हूँ रोज़ ट्रैफिक में, मुझे प्रॉब्लम होती है यहाँ पर आते हुए. Observation based questions. And we need to encourage those questions and take it to the final stage. Last, we need to present education as a problem solving tool. सारी दुनिया education को इस तरह से लेती है. Their students are answering the questions of industry and their students are answering the problems of the community. अभी मैंने ट्रैफिक की एग्जाम्पल दी है. The city planner should know how to manage those things. It is their job to observe that now the things are getting bad and bad and bad. How we can came across new ways, new ideas to solve these things. And to help the students to produce better things. This is one of the hat. The model was not perfect, but the hat was perfect. This hat was like, it protects you from the sunlight, like the sunlight nowadays. But it contains a solar panel and a little device which can charge your phone as well. So while you are walking around in the sunlight, you can help your phone to get charged as well. In addition to that stuff, there is a small little fan is over there. It is not visible, but the student placed a fan over there, so it can help my face to feel cool at the same time as well. इतनी गर्मी है, क्या करें? Somebody thinks about the solution. मेरा फोन डेड हो जाता है, मैं घर जाऊँ चार्जिंग के लिए, इसके पास नो चार्जर है, एंड्रॉइड वाला है, सी टाइप वाला. How I can get rid of all these things? A society problem, a community problem. Somebody tries to find an answer, and that is the purpose of the stand. If you want to understand how big is the speed of the change in the world, अगर आप इसको feel करना है, देखिएगा. Look at the camera crew, which is taking a movie shot of a movie. Look at the camera. How many jobs are there? Yes, helicopter people, management team, which is taking care of the helicopter, the person who is recording the movie, he needs to take a shot from something from the air. Lot of money, person's life at risk. Also the camera is required to be there. Lot of people, lot of jobs are involved. 10 years ago, just 10 years ago. Now, all these things can be done with this one. It made everyone out there jobless. Oh my God. That means if I am selecting something, an area of my future or career, which was your objective, some students mentioned that the objective of my education is to better career. But if your career will be replaced by a machine after 10 years, you have spent 18 years on studying something and you ended up in a jobless world. Because you are asking more money than the robot, you are asking more money than everyone can use this thing to create a wonderful shot over there. That is how the world has changed. And I can tell you the speed is much faster than we are expecting. If we do not stand, or you can say change our methodologies of teaching and do not try to trigger science in our students' mind and heart, we will never be able to cope with things. And this is the ultimate reality. And it is actually very dreadful. I can tell you there are a lot of security issues to our country, but for a person like me, the biggest security issue is that we are not innovative. We are dependent, we look towards the people to solve our problems. You know, people are earning money to solve our problems. For example, the people who used to go abroad, हममें से बहुत सारे लोग दुबई गए, especially the Muslims, they are dependent on their meat, on the halal suppliers. उनकी गली में सस्ता गोश्त मिल रहा होता है, but they have to travel all the way to another market. यहाँ से हलाल गोश्त मिलता है, कोई पाकिस्तानी, कोई इंडियन, कोई बांग्लादेशी बंदा है, वो हलाल वो मीट इंपोर्ट करता है, हमने वही खरीदना है क्योंकि हम तो वो खाते हैं. And it is much expensive as compared to the regular meat over there. कोरिया में भी ऐसा होता है. दुनिया में सबसे, ये एक साइंटिफिक प्रॉब्लम है, कम्युनिटी प्रॉब्लम है. दुनिया में सबसे ज़्यादा बड़ा मीट का एक्सपोर्टर मुस्लिम कंट्रीज नहीं है. USA, Australia, Canada. What the hell we are thinking? This is our problem specifically, and someone else is using and addressing our problem and making money. Petrol price is the problem, recent problem. Last night ko gira bomb. Last days, I think to use a car, I feel we need to move on. How we can save petrol, how we can commute comfortably. I'm just giving a brainstorming seed to the people. मैंने घर से गाड़ी नहीं, मैं यूनिवर्सिटी जा रहा हूँ. I'm driving alone. I have like 4 seats available for someone. How about developing an app? कौन सा मेरा फ्रेंड इस रास्ते में रहता है, वो भी वहाँ जा रहा है. How he can join me and share the money of petrol with me. मैंने अकेले जाने की बजाय 5 लोग चले जाएंगे, मेरे पैसे बच जाएंगे. Society problems, community issues. How my education answer those things? अब हमारे में से जितने भी लोग आंसर करते हैं ना इस किस्म की प्रॉब्लम्स को, वो आंसर्स किताबों से नहीं आते हैं. They just come from their innovative ideas. उसने BS किया होता है बायोटेक्नोलॉजी में, आंसर्स जो है वो कपड़े के प्रॉब्लम्स को दे रहा होता है. They are independent people who are solving their problems. It is not education which is solving their problem. What if if our education, our universities, our classroom will start giving the answers? Because most of the brains are supposed to be trained in the universities. These answers should come from the universities. मैंने क्या बनाया, आप क्या बनाएंगे, मैंने क्या बनाया. And ये चीज़ें हम इसलिए नहीं बना पाते because we discourage students at the place when they are observing and then they are asking the questions. Okay, so let me conclude the first episode of our today's session, that how we can conclude out of the STEM. It's the creation of knowledge. It's not the transfer of knowledge. It's not making multiple copies of Dr. Mustafa. I don't like myself by the way. मुझे खुद भी अजीब लगे. You must be better than me. You must be a thinker which is better than me. Instinctive, interdisciplinary approach. Why? Because the world is not divided in subjects. ये नहीं बायोलॉजी वाली गली है, ये ज्योग्राफी वाली गली है, यहाँ पर सिर्फ ज्योग्राफी के मसाइल होंगे. हमारे घरों में, our homes are interdisciplinary. That's why the real world does not believe on boundaries. Why our education is not allowing people to have and to cross these boundaries to learn things. एक geography का major should try to go to the classes of statistics and the mathematics and anything associated with that. The environmental scientists should have better knowledge of biology and microorganisms and pathogens. अगर उसका interest है, should go to the biology classroom with that. Why we discourage these things? So that is the agenda of the book. And then the identification of social and scientific problems and design experimental strategies to find the solutions. And last but not the least, the ultimate bahana we have, resources. It can slow us down, that is fine, but it should not stop us. We can choose to be slow in these fronts, but we should keep on moving. So that is the first part of the talk. I am available and waiting for your questions about these things. Whether you agree with my conclusion, you can draw your own conclusion as well. अगली वाली episode में मैंने conclusion लिखे ही नहीं है. You guys will draw it for me. Okay? Any question? If you want to comment on these things, please, you can share your comments about these things. That will help me a lot to make my things. जी प्लीज मैम.
इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी अप्रोच इज नीडेड डिबेट नाउ. पहले था चीज़ें इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी हुआ करती थी, ख्वारिज़मी, कीमिया, बड़े बड़े साइंटिस्ट थे हमने सुने. देन अगेन यहाँ पे थोड़ी सी जब कैम्बिनिज्म और ये थोड़ी मार्केटिंग अप्रोच है, फिर हम स्पेसिफिकेशन की तरफ चले गए. वो दौर था जब हमारी जो एजुकेशन थे देर कम एक अलग जो डिसिप्लिन से वो इन्वॉल्व होना शुरू हो गए. अगेन अब हम फिर पिछली वही बात कर रहे हैं कि दे शुड बी इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी. अब हम क्या अपने जो स्कूल हमने स्पेसिफिकेशन एक वो क्रिएट कर दी है, उसको चैलेंज कर रहे हैं कि सिस्टम वही अच्छा था या हम पुरानी भी दोबारा यहाँ पर
आप सेकेंड ईयर स्टूडेंट हैं. सॉरी टू आस्क दिस.
व्हाट डू यू परस्यू?
I want you to believe whatever you are.
I am here. I am.
You are a student. Okay.
Student.
Why you like to introduce yourself? I am a student as well.
No, I am a student. Taking him a student.
Okay.
Because I am learning.
We all learn from each other.
Yeah.
When you refer the common version of science, that was the information, the limited amount of information we had at that time. A one single agenda is good enough to address all these things.
And you are talking about the era.
But over the period of time, I just want to know your major. Well, I have actually explained this to you. Okay, I have done probably PhD in medical sciences.
Okay.
And I said and mentioned this thing during my talk. I cannot publish any of my research paper without the statistics, without the computers, and without help of mathematics.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
So for me, I mean, it's like a complex version. We are not now going back to the common thing. We are going back to a different world, a world where we need to.
And we try to do another field, the resistance we face from the other field because the different disciplines and they have become silos now.
Understandable. बिल्कुल सही.
Merging those silos is a very big challenge.
Yes. If I want to enter into another department and try to learn, I will going to face the resistance. The answer is yes.
Yeah.
If you face the resistance, you are on the right path. That means you are correct, and you don't need to worry about the fact how other people are thinking in this way. It's like how I leave the things. There is a university out there. It has multiple options for me to learn. There are multiple teachers out there sitting in different offices with different knowledges. It is my job to reach out to them to get my information, because this is me who want to grow. This is me who want to learn. So I totally agree with the motion that we will going to receive resistance. For example, since I am a professor, I asked to another professor who is teaching statistics in the class. I asked him, I want to sit in your class. And this sometimes feels very weird for a professor. But that is what I want. I need that thing. मेरा इतना सारा 25-30 साल का career जो है 4 सफों के ऊपर बैठा हुआ है. I failed to publish that article because I have no understanding about whether I need to apply the chi-square or the logical regression or whatever blah blah things are in the statistics. This is my problem. So I need to learn. I need to go and sit, and I am comfortably fine with it. So that is something we need to encourage. If someone from the other department come to me or come to my department, that is where I need to be a little bit more kind and supportive to the system, because this is the way, and we can't have any other solution. Ji ma'am.
My question is, it's okay to but the thing is, we have prerequisites. Even we are starting a STEM education in our project, but we enroll in students who have ethics, humanity, engineering. Why we cannot enroll any student from the house background, because it's a restriction applied on us from the government of the university or the higher authorities. How can we resolve this issue? If a student who has a general science background and wants to come over to STEM education, how can we enroll that student? These are the barriers we have to, we cannot do it.
Exactly. Well, the ma'am has rightly pointed out the problems, and this is the things we need to face. The first state is that we should know the right way. The second is that we have the problems and how we can address those problems. By the way, I don't know why I'm gradually introducing myself slowly. I'm one of the member of the supervisory committee of single national curriculum set up by the last government. I don't know my status at this time, by the way. The committee was not denotified, by the way, until now, but I don't know what the action Bal will going to do with that committee. But I was one of the 10 members committee who was supervising that thing. And आपने सुना होगा कि 5वीं तक का curriculum कर दिया, 8वीं तक का करने वाले थे, and then वो जो हो गया, जो कुछ भी आप टीवी पे देखते हैं, and the government has changed. So I can tell you the agenda, this thing in my head as one of the members of the supervisory committee over there. I want FSC pre-medical and pre-engineering system to finish once for all. Every medical student is supposed to study mathematics. Every mathematics student is required to study biology as well. They should study everything. We should not divide them at this stage. This is not the time when we should ask them, do not go near to the mathematics, do not go near to the biology. This is such a problem we are creating in our own society. And you know the kids who are like in FSC, you know their body language, their way of, they just think every other subject is a failure for them. डॉक्टर नहीं बने तो जिंदगी खत्म है, इनमें से कई होंगे ऐसे, इससे आगे जिंदगी खत्म है. इंजीनियर नहीं बनेंगे तो तबाही है. Every other subject is considered inferior to that, and that makes sense. मतलब I don't mind sharing my FSC score with you. Please don't make this, but अगर आप करना भी चाहें तो it's fine. I got 646 scores in my FSC examination. I can share my secondary school certificate with, that is back in 1996. At that time, the merit of King Edward Medical University was like 875, something like that. So that means I am far away. Galactic distance between me and a medical university. I asked some of the students over there, I did not introduce that was my scorecard. I asked them, इसके साथ क्या होगा अगर ये जाएगा King Edward में? They said कि उनको पता नहीं था उन्होंने कि को धक्के देके बाहर निकाल देंगे. इस नंबरों के साथ King Edward आ गए. They will not going to accept it. They will feel bad. This is not your place. Where you are. The first university who offered me a faculty position in Pakistan, that was the King Edward Medical. कि आपने मेडिकल साइंसेज की PhD की है डॉक्टर साहब, आप तो हैं ही हमारे मुल्क के जो हैं वो वजीर. That is how the world is different. दैट इज समथिंग वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. सो अगर हम ये करते आ रहे हैं, मैम द पॉइंट इज दैट ओवर द 70 years अगर हम अपने काउंटर पार्ट्स के मुकाबले में तरक्की नहीं कर पा रहे हैं, यू नो द न्यूज़ द लेटेस्ट, बांग्लादेश इज रिचर देन अस. आपने सुनी होगी एक टर्म, ये टके का कहते 2 टके का, ये टके, दैट टका वाज द टर्म व्हिच वी यूज्ड टू एक्सप्रेस समथिंग वेरी चीप. ये हमें सिखाया गया, एंड नाउ द टका इज मोर देन 2 rupees. नाउ द रुपी इज लाइक ये 2 रुपए का आदमी है, इंस्टेड ऑफ आस्किंग द 2 टके का आदमी. दैट्स वेयर वी आर. सो आंखें बंद कर लेंगे, वी विल continue with the same way for the next 20 and 30 years. We will give our generations, we will give our kids not a better Pakistan. अगर इस सिस्टम से काम होता तो हमें 70 साल में रिजल्ट्स मिल जाते हैं. And you know, I can tell you the people from my generation and the comparatively who are older than me, they can sense that things are not getting nicer. We are having a society which is not normal. We are having a society where we can't send our kids outside comfortably and freely. We are not living in a normal society anymore, and that is because we did not choose to start making changes in our education system. So we will going to experience worse if we do not start these things from our classrooms to our system and help the students to change.
डॉक्टर मुस्तफा, आपने कहा कि करिकुलम के लिए आपने सिंगल वैल्यूज को ब्रेक करने की बात की, तो हाउ मेनी पीपल वर एग्रीड विद यू?
I agree. I always came across this question. You know, wherever I go, usually there is a lady or a professor very angry with me. Or, my kid is going to LGS, and you know what you have done? You have reduced its knowledge. You have reduced the code. You are very bad people. हमारे बच्चे जो है वो बीकन हाउस में पढ़ते हैं, and you have changed the curriculum, lowered down the curriculum. That is not nice. उसने जो तीसरी में पढ़ा है आप उसको चौथी में भी वही पढ़ा रहे हैं. What the hell you guys are doing? What the hell we are doing is that 90% of the Pakistani kids are not studying in the LGS. They are not studying in the beacon house. They are in the government schools. I wish I should show you the government school picture. Some of them I will show you. They don't even speak in Urdu. English तो दूर की बात है. उनका क्या करें ना, 2 ऑप्शन थे हमारे पास ना, 2 ऑप्शन थे हमारे पास. One is that we need to came across a median value, something like that. जब हमने उनका सिलेबस हाई किया, वो हमारी जान को आगे ज़्यादा जान को आगे, ये हम कहाँ से पढ़ाएंगे अपने स्टूडेंट्स को? वो जो पहले पढ़ा रहे हैं हम जानते हैं वो क्या पढ़ा रहे हैं. अब इमेजिन करें ना, शकरगढ़ में और नारोवाल में या लिया में या मुजफ्फर, वी डोंट अंडरस्टैंड एक्चुअली लाहौर में बैठ के बट दीज पीपल आर हैविंग आउट, उनके कोर्सेज क्लासरूम में क्या है. जब तक ये लोग एम्पावर नहीं होते, जो मर्जी कर लें, हम पाकिस्तान ये बना रहे हैं. एंड विद ऑल ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, ये एक्स्ट्रा क्वेश्चन है. वी आर रेजिंग 5 डिफरेंट माइंड्स. मदरसे के बच्चे के गोल्स एंड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स हो रहे हैं. यही वाला सवाल कर लेना, मैंने जो शुरू में आपसे किया था, एजुकेशन क्यों लेनी है, वो आपको बताएगा मैंने एक मस्जिद का इमाम बनना है, मैंने ये करना है, मैंने वाई यू आर गेटिंग एजुकेशन. एक गली मोहल्ले के प्राइवेट स्कूल के बच्चे से पूछे उसके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या हैं, वो और हैं. एक सरकारी स्कूल के बच्चे से पूछें आपके ऑब्जेक्टिव्स क्या हैं, वो डिफरेंट है. अगर आप एक बेटर प्राइवेट स्कूल से पूछे तो डिफरेंट है. LGS बीकन हाउस से पूछें आपको और ही स्पेशल किस्म के मिलेंगे, आपको दुनिया के लेवल की पता नहीं. आई वांट टू बी एन आर्टिस्ट, यू नो, एंड सम 5 किस्म के दिमाग हम बना रहे हैं बेसिक लेवल के ऊपर, और फिर हम यहाँ पर बैठ के सोचते हैं हमारी सोसाइटी में कोहेरेंस नहीं है, हम आपस में एक दूसरे की इज्जत नहीं करते. भाई हम उसको बचपन में सिखाते हैं कि ये हेट है. मदरसे के बच्चे को बताया कि इससे नफरत करनी है, और उसको सिखाया कि ये बैकवर्ड्स लोग हैं फ्रॉम द वेरी यंग एज. जब ये 5 लोग माशरा बनाएंगे, हाउ दे विल एबल टू टॉक विद ईच अदर, दे विल एबल टू सिट विद ईच अदर, इट्स क्वाइट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. सो समवन नीड्स टू, मैं एक्स्ट्रा फिर बोल रहा हूँ, एक्चुअली लास्ट डेकेड्स में हम जानते हैं, आप जानते हैं कि हमने एक बहुत खतरनाक सिचुएशन को एक्सपीरियंस किया. सुसाइड बॉम्बिंग, दुनिया के कई मुल्क फ्लैट हो गए इसकी वजह से, एक्सट्रीमिज्म की वजह से, और हमने बड़ी मुश्किल से सर्वाइव किया. और हम सब जानते हैं ट्रैवल करना, न्यूज़ खतरनाक, इतना डिफिकल्ट, हम इसको बर्दाश्त नहीं कर सकते हैं दोबारा. वी एज ए कंट्री इज नॉट स्ट्रॉन्ग इनफ टू फेस ऑल दिस प्रॉब्लम्स एनीमोर. हमें किसी न किस तरह लोगों के नज़रियात को करीब लाना है. और ये बात दुरुस्त है कि ये सारे बच्चे सफ़र हो रहे हैं, ये बात दुरुस्त है कि जो हायरार्की के स्टूडेंट्स हैं नहीं सफ़र हो, बट समवन विल हैव टू सफ़र इन ऑर्डर टू रेज द मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स आउट. ये ज़रूरी है. तो इसलिए ये एक ग्रेटर एजेंडा था कि एक्सट्रीमिज्म और डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन को कम किया जाए. और आप जानते हैं हमारे यहाँ अगर आप मेरे से इख्तिलाफ करते हैं तो मैंने आपका मर्डर ही करना है, उससे नीचे हम कहीं पर बात करने को तैयार ही नहीं है. वो रेज आर सोसाइटी इन दिस, डिफरेंसेस को हम एक्सेप्ट करने के लिए तैयार नहीं. तो हमें ये हमारा काम है एज ए कम्युनिकेटर, एज ए टीचर, कि हम अपने स्टूडेंट्स के अंदर ये बात, हम अपने स्टूडेंट को बोलने नहीं देते। डिफरेंस करो हम मेरे से कोई बात, मैं मैंने PhD किया है, यू नो, स्टार्ट ही यहाँ से करते हैं। हाउ दैट स्टूडेंट इज एबल टू टेल यू कि सर आई नो बेटर देन यू, या मेरे पास एक ओपिनियन है जो आपसे अच्छा है, उसकी ऐसी की तैसी नहीं, मेरे ग्रेड इसके हाथ में, हाउ आई कैन यू नो आर दिस, ये सब चीज़ें जिसको हमें ग्रेजुअली यूज़ करना है और एक एनवायरनमेंट बनाना है जिसको हम STEM एजुकेशन करें। So that is all from the first episode from my side. Thank you very much all of you for your patience. Thank you. And is that fine to go slow for the second session? Thank you very much for your patience. आप लोग यहीं पर रहे, मेरी ख्वाहिश थी कि जो आए वो जाए ना, and I think I am happy for that. And believe me, the first person I want to teach in this session is me, because you guys are telling me the things which help me to understand as well, help me to grow. You have hundred thousands of human experiences. We are sitting at one place, and I am actually getting these things from you guys. So the next session, the next episode, second session अलग है. I am really sorry to tell you. ये second episode है इस session की, but that will be quick. Ultimate agenda ये था कि हम इस thought process को समझ सकें. The second is that हम सीखते कैसे हैं, हम लोग किसी चीज़ को सीखते कैसे हैं. Please give me the keywords. कैसे सीखते हैं हम? Students के तो देखता हूँ, tell me, हम सीखते कैसे? मुझे कहते हैं ना हमने सबक सीख लिया, वो तो हम सीखते हैं ना. How we learn? Experience से, experience. शाबाश. By doing something. Observing and doing. By interacting with people. शाबाश. Good. Or brilliant. Brilliant. Suffering. सबसे अच्छा सबक मिलता है जो कभी नहीं भूलता मैं पूरी जिंदगी. शाबाश. और ओके, अंदर ये सारे के सारे क्वेश्चन जो है ना, ये बिल्कुल जो आंसर जो कीवर्ड्स हैं करेक्ट हैं. ऑल दीज थिंग्स आर द रीजंस फ्रॉम वे वी लर्न. लेकिन मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ कि हम बायोलॉजिकली कैसे सीखते हैं. साइंसी तौर पर हम किसी नई चीज़ को बायोलॉजिकली कैसे सीखते हैं, दैट इज समथिंग आई वांट यू गाइस टू नो, ताकि हम वो वाला रूट इख्तियार करें, हम वो वाला रास्ता इख्तियार करें टू हेल्प द स्टूडेंट्स टू कीप द थिंग्स फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीरियड ऑफ टाइम. बट बिफोर आई टेल यू कि हम सीखते कैसे हैं, आई वांट टू शो यू one of the best picture I have in my library, and that picture is this. I don't know you able to see the beautiful smile of the girl or not, because of the projector and because of the lights. I want you guys to see the smile. I don't know how we learn exactly, but when we learn, we smile in this way. We smile in this way. Sorry for this. I don't know if we are able to see it now or not. But anyways, I'll send you the picture. In whatever the way we learn, हम जिस भी तरीके से सीखते हैं, the point is that हम तब ऐसा हंसते हैं, इस तरह का हंसते हैं. That is how we used to smile when we think. This is one of the school near the Shakargarh district. It's in a small village called Boa. It's a sarkari school over there, and these are the kids who don't even speak comfortably in Urdu as well. मैंने इससे पूछा, just think about the conversation between me and her. क्या की पढ़ना तू? बता के की पढ़ना है? And she answered, मैं डॉक्टर बनना चाहती हूँ. And I said, डॉक्टर की करते हैं? डॉक्टर क्या करते हैं? डॉक्टर की करते हैं? अगर आपको पंजाबी नहीं आती, तो tell me. लो तो शिफ्ट हो जाना चाहिए आप. अगर आपको पंजाबी नहीं आती, डॉक्टर की करते हैं? She said, वो करना था ना टूटियाँ जियाँ ला के ना एंजज कर दे. And that was her observation. Exactly observation. एंज कर दे डॉक्टर. I said, okay, I asked Tayyab, Tayyab is a very beautiful science communicator. I am not allowing him to speak because he will steal my show. So I asked Tayyab, please give me the stethoscope. And that was the time and the moment when she placed the stethoscope in her ears and listened the heartbeat of her friend for the very first time in her life. It actually exists. For the very first time, she sensed that the heartbeat is there and we can listen through our stethoscope. And that smile is the smile of a learner. That smile is what we need to expect, we need to trigger in the people's mind. द रेस्ट हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते आप लोगों के लिए, सिवाय इसके कि वी शुड ट्रिगर दैट स्माइल इन योर माइंड, एंड दैट वाज हैपेंड एट दैट टाइम. सो लेट्स कमिंग बैक टू द लॉ, हाउ वी लर्न. Biologically, our brain is divided into different parts, right parts, left parts, and each part is responsible to detect different things. Some part is responsible for the logical calculations, some is responsible to see the things, some is responsible to see and calculate and keep the memories and blah 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 things. So our brain has multiple areas. आपने एक कीवर्ड याद रखना है. If we involve multiple parts of our brain, we will be able to learn and retain things biologically much better. So बातों के एक बात, if we able to involve the multiple parts of our brain in doing some activity, that activity will going to stay in our mind for longer period of time. So how about putting that way in education? For example, आप लोगों में से कुछ लोगों को बायोलॉजी आती है. अब मुझे वॉलंटियर चाहिए. आई लव अगर मेरे साथ प्रोफेसर हो, मैं और प्रोफेसर इकट्ठे मूव करते हुए हाथों को आते हुए अच्छा लगता है आप लोगों को. हाउ अबाउट मैन, लेट्स मेक देम लिटिल बिट हैप्पियर. आई नीड वॉलंटियर्स. एक more volunteers, more fun. I just want to prove something. दो, शाबाश, खड़े हो. Stand up. इस तरफ आते हैं. One more, और चाहिए. Be brave. I will prove that your brain is part of having different parts instead of one part. I need more people. Please, जो यहाँ पर बैठे हैं उनको टर्न फेस टर्न क्या हम इधर आ जाते हैं. ठीक है. Can you see comfortably to these guys? I am one of the volunteer as well. Okay? I am one of the volunteers. And we want to prove that our brain is made up of different compartments doing different things. If we mess them up, we can't work. Can we move our hands? All of you guys can participate at the same time. Can you move your hands? Please. Don't move your hands. Clockwise direction? Yes. Anti-clockwise direction? Yes. Thank you very much. Please move your right feet wherever you are. We will like be more open. Move your right feet in a clockwise direction. Can you move? Yes. And then in the anti-clockwise, can you move? Yes. We have a total control and command on our body. We can move our hands. Is that fine? Now, अब आप लोगों ने क्या करना है? This is the thing. You need to move your right foot in a clockwise direction, like this, okay, and keep on moving. Please keep on moving. If you are not doing, please look at their feet and my feet as well. Okay? If you can't see any feet, you can use your own feet, please. Right feet, clockwise direction. All right? Now right 6 in the air. Please keep the movement the clockwise direction. Can you sense your feet started moving opposite direction? Yes. मैंने तो नहीं कहा आपने दोबारा. Move your right feet in the clockwise direction. Right feet को clockwise direction move करते रहे, and then right 6 in the air, and you will see your foot start soft and then move in the opposite direction. I am not asking my feet to go in this way. That means I don't have control even on my body. Okay, hold it. Now move your right feet in an anti-clockwise direction. Okay, a clockwise, and right the 6 as well. Now you can comfortably ride. If the direction of your feet and your hand, guiding 6 means you are moving anti-clockwise. If your feet and your hands are synchronized and moving in one way, your calculation center is not messed up because your right and left come from the same side of the brain. If you instruct differently, right foot and the right hand, asking right hand to move in another direction, asking your right hand to move in another direction, there is a conflict in your mind and you will not be able to do that thing. Thank you very much. Thank you, man. Clapping for the volunteers. And for you guys. You have done a wonderful job. इसका मतलब ये हुआ, यहाँ पर हमें एक सीक्रेट समझना है. अगर मेरे स्टूडेंट के पास कोई इस तरह का मैसअप हो रहा है उसके माइंड में, आई एम आस्किंग माई स्टूडेंट टू यूज द different parts of his or her brain, and unfortunately that student is not able to utilize those components at the same time, he is not able to answer you comfortably. For example, आपका नाम क्या है? आपका नाम क्या है? लाइबा, open book फलाना chapter number 7 page number 25 line number 4. Some students will mess up with this information, not all of us. ये क्या बोला है इन्होंने, क्या कहा है? Some students will quickly go through the page and मैम इसकी बात हो रही है, and the other are just wondering ये क्या बोला है. Multiple information processing error, and we assume ये नकम्मा बच्चा है, we assume ये नलायक बच्चा है. जैसे आपका right foot नहीं move कर पाया है, that person is not able to process that information. We need to fix it, or we need to look, or either we choose to lose that wonderful person and tag that person. इन्हें समझ नहीं आती है, मैंने पिछली बार बताया. Some people are not good in numbers. मैं भी आपको बताता हूँ आप लोग क्या हैं, क्या ऐसे मुराद है लर्नर किस तरह के. जब हम किस चीज़ को देखते हैं ना बायोलॉजिकली, आपने कभी सोचा है ये मेमोरी क्या होती है? कंप्यूटर की मेमोरी के बारे में सोचा कभी? कंप्यूटर की मेमोरी क्या? सोचते तो हैं कि तस्वीरें इतनी ज़्यादा हो गई हैं, जगह खत्म हो गई है ना, मेमोरी खत्म हो गई, फिजिकल मेमोरी खत्म हो गई है, आई नीड अ बिगर फोन, मुझे वो. इसी तरह द फिजिकल एग्जिस्टेंस ऑफ एवरी मेमोरी इज देयर इन आवर ब्रेन. हमारे दिमाग में हर किस्म की मेमोरी स्टोर कैसे होती है? जब हम कोई नया एक्सपीरियंस करते हैं, जब भी हम कोई नई बात सीखते हैं, वी डेवलप अ न्यू कनेक्शन इन आवर न्यूरॉन्स समवेयर इन आवर माइंड. अगर आपने आज मुझे पहली बार देखा है तो आई एम वेरी हैप्पी टू नो and to tell you that your brain somewhere connected two new neurons with each other with my name and my picture. Every new information is actually a physical connection between the two neurons. Now you and me, like there are like 30 or 35 students out there, everyone is looking at me. It's a new information for them, me and myself as a person. Everyone is developing this new connection. But they are connecting the neurons in different parts of their brains. What that means? That means they are getting the information, the same information, but they are processing the information in different ways. That's why you guys are different. That's why एक क्लास में कम में बच्चे नजर आते हैं और उसी क्लास में लाइक बच्चे नजर आते हैं. बंदा सोचता है कि टीचर तो एक है. Why? The same lecture, the same information is not able to dissolve equally into the all students. The reason why? Because they are processing their information differently. मैं आपको एक और भी अजीब बात बताता हूँ लेकिन काफ़ी है. So when we see something in biology, we create connections and we store data to preserve that information. अगर कभी आपकी मेरी मुलाकात दोबारा होती है, you will going to use the same connection once again and that will make that connection stronger. अगर आपकी और मेरी मुलाकात दोबारा कभी नहीं होती है, you will going to lose that connection. That means physically losing the memory. So अगर हम learner हैं, सीखने वाले हैं, तो we should find the way how we develop connections comfortably and in a better way. And I told you the key at the start. If you put multiple centers together, involve them, you will get better results. मैं दिखाता हूँ बस. So first I will ask you guys to have pages with you. Please distribute the pages. I will going to distribute some pages to you guys. Write the names of the 10 objects you like to write. Whatever. 10 objects. Okay? Write the names of the 10 objects. Please share pencils if you like to. Please share pencils as well. अगर आपके पास नोटबुक है आप लिख सकते हैं इसके ऊपर 10 ऑब्जेक्ट लिखते हैं अपनी मर्जी के. आपने I will going to जब आप लोग ये complete कर लें तो मैं आगे चलता हूँ. Please write 10 objects, whatever the objects you like to bottle. Please don't include me in object. Bottle, whatever. If you are done, I can start something else. Okay, you are done? Okay. Okay, guys. I will going to speak about certain objects. I will going to speak about certain objects, and then I will ask you to recall those objects. I will going to speak 10 objects, and will ask you to recall those objects for me after that. Not all of them, but some of them. And you can, for those जिनसे हम नहीं पूछ रहे हैं, they should recall in their mind whatever the answers. They are able to recall 4 objects, 5 objects, or no objects. They should answer that question in the Google Classroom file. The file is there uploaded. Okay, after that. But let me start speaking about the objects. Am I audible to you? That is very important for that. You need to listen and you need to memorize. Okay? So here we go. Apple, bag, car, clock. Please do not write. This is cheating. We are experimenting listening. Okay, full stop. Once again. Yeah, ready? Okay, 3, 2, 1. Apple, bag, car, clock, bicycle, duck, house, spoon, hockey, umbrella. Shabash. Start with me. Last. G. Recall. Time come my pass. And please answer your questions on the how many you recall. Please answer on the Google Classroom as well. G ma'am. You are amazing, amazing. G. Shabash. After it. Go to 6. शाबाश गुड. ओके, बाकी लोग अपना आंसर जो है गूगल क्लासरूम में टाइप कर दे. 1 to 10 लिखा हुआ है. जितने आप रिकॉल कर सकते हैं इमेजिनेशन में रिकॉल कीजिए. 4 हैं, 5 हैं, 6 हैं, 7 हैं. जस्ट आंसर ऑनेस्टली. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर द आवर टास्क. Please turn in quickly. अगर आपने 4 रिकॉल किए, I don't mind. इसमें कुछ अच्छा नहीं है, कुछ बुरा नहीं है. I'll tell you the differences about it. जो नेचुरली आंसर है वो वहाँ टाइप कर दीजिए. मैम इसका पासवर्ड है P07. आपका गूगल क्लासरूम है. अगर नहीं है तो हम क्रोम पे लिखेंगे गूगल क्लासरूम तो आ जाएगा. प्लीज डू इट. मैं आपकी असिस्ट करूँगा. अगर आप गूगल क्लासरूम में ओपन करेंगे तो आपको ये वाला पासवर्ड यूज करना पड़ेगा. POZ4C6. इसमें ये क्लास करनी चाहिए इसमें हम लोग बात हाँ आप इसमें ना 1 to 10 ऑप्शन है इस क्वेश्चन में 1 to 10 का ऑप्शन है ये फाइल के मान लीजिए फाइल and just moving to click and P और C पर नोट पे लिखेगा ये वाला है मैं वो फेस करता हूँ वहाँ एक बात करेंगे POC this one POC 4660 can you see
Sir, we are only able to answer question 1 at the moment.
at right okay guys let's start it once again look at the picture over there and I will going to speak about those pictures as well. Now this time we will get the same information in a little bit different way. This time we will see as well. Just help your mind and stay very relaxed, comfortable and do not try to cheat your mind. Whatever comes, just get it. Let's start. Number 1, apple. Number 2, bag. Number 3, car. Number 4, clock. Number 5, bicycle. Number 6, duck. And house, spoon, hockey, and umbrella. And then just turn your face around, recall all of them from your fingers and answer the second question. अभी वो सबमिट करें अभी आपने सेकंड क्वेश्चन का आंसर करना है लिमिट पूरी हो गई वाईफाई की लिमिट पूरी हो गई आप पेज पर करेंगे दैट्स फाइन ओके नाउ द लास्ट वन आई रिक्वेस्ट यू गाइस आपने जो 10 ऑब्जेक्ट लिखे हैं दिस इज द डिफिकल्ट टाइम प्लीज ट्राई टू ड्रॉ देम एज वेल whatever the way anything हम लोग आर्टिस्ट नहीं हैं we are not supposed to draw in the same way but at least car जो है should not look like aeroplane तो जो closest structure आप बना सकते हैं आप उसको ड्रॉ कीजिए जो भी आपने ऑब्जेक्ट लिखा आप उसको ड्रॉ कीजिए जो आपने 10 लिखे हैं अगर आप चाहें तो ऑब्जेक्ट चेंज भी कर सकते हैं अगर किसी को ड्रॉ करना पॉसिबल नहीं है it will be wonderful if you like to share your drawing but that is fine if you don't want जैसी मर्जी जीव की छोटी मोटी ड्राइंग जैसे आप बाकी बनाना एटलीस्ट इट रिफ्लेक्ट्स योर ऑब्जेक्ट उससे ऑब्जेक्ट की झलक आनी चाहिए अगर आपने ड्रॉ कर लिए ना अपने अपने ऑब्जेक्ट्स ये ऑब्जेक्ट्स पहले वालों से अलग है ये पहले से अलग है यहाँ पे खुद ड्रॉ की खुद बनाना वैसे आई वुड लव इफ यू गाइस ट्राई टू शेयर दीस ऑब्जेक्ट्स विद योर फ्रेंड्स स्पेशली विद योर फैमिली and if you have kids wonderful to share it with your kids this is your mom's drawing okay it's done How about using professor's data use time? प्रोफेसर का डाटा यूज करते हैं, मुझे बात क्या है? मैम आपने क्या करना है, आपने अपना पेज जो है ना इनको दे देना। Is it fine? Okay. Please hold it. आपने रीड करना, मैम आपने सुनना। You just listen and then recall and then type the answer to the third question. Okay, hold on. Everyone else should try the same thing as well. आपने जोर से बोलना है कि सबको पता लगे। आप सब ने भी इस क्वेश्चन को सुनना है। The man will listen as well. मैंने ड्रॉ किया है। We all will listen and try to recall and then count कि 4 गिने हैं, 5 गिने हैं, 6 गिने हैं, ठीक है? All set, जोर से बोलिए।
Cell phone, water bottle, umbrella, hairbrush, diary, sunglasses, wristwatch, candies, laptop और
आप recall कीजिए and then let us know and time over. Please आप लोग भी recall कीजिए। Count करें। Third question answer है। हम लोग ज़्यादा और बढ़ना। Third question answer है। जब वो मैम फिनिश कर लें हम नोटबुक वापस कर लें। It's fine जितने भी आते हैं हमें we don't need to push our mind. Okay. थर्ड क्वेश्चन सबमिट किया आप लोगों ने? थर्ड वन लास्ट वन। हाँ थर्ड करिए। वैसे ना आप लोगों से, आप लोग स्टूडेंट से ये सुनना कि इंटरनेट नहीं है बड़ा अजीब लगता है, यू नो। आप लोग तो ऐसी भी टैक्सी कर देते हैं तो मैसेज भेजना होगा, किसी को पता भी नहीं लगता कि यू विल गेट द इंटरनेट फ्रॉम वन वे और अनदर। सिर्फ पढ़ाई की दफा कहना होता है इंटरनेट नहीं, सिग्नल भी है। क्लासरूम का वाईफाई नहीं है, वैसे है ना वो फिल हो गए 3G 4G। ओके गाइस, ऑल सेट। मैम आपने कितने रिकॉल किए? थर्ड वाले में 7, पहले वाले में कितने किए थे? 7, सेकंड वाले में कितने किए? 8। आप प्लीज इस डेटा को याद रखिए। ओके, थर्ड वाले को जिसने सबमिट किया वो बताइए हमको। 6। ओके, लेट अस सी द डेटा। अब हम देखते हैं कि हम इससे अगर इंटरनेट हमारा साथ देता है। ये गूगल क्लासरूम में डेटा अलग अलग तरीके से आता है। ओके, okay, I need to a little bit faster with you guys. I'm sorry. Okay, this is the question number 1. Oh my God. Question number 1. I'm sorry, I'm not having good internet. I think हमने ज़्यादा इंटरनेट यूज कर लिया था लोगों ने। You guys are absorbing more internet. So please do not use it for social media, okay? ये ना आपने YouTube लगाया और मुझे मसला हो रहा है। I'm sorry. Anyway, threat, okay, sorry. Theoretically, I can tell you. When you listen something, ये बहुत important information है. When you listen something and you able to recall it, इसमें कोई अच्छा बुरा नहीं है। मैं शुरू में बताया, this is not nothing good or bad. When you listen something and you able to recall comfortably in comparison with the information which is coming to you by picture. अगर आपका पिक्चर का डेटा और आपके सुनने का डेटा सेम है, इसके रिस्पॉन्सेज सेम है और आपका सुनने का डेटा अच्छा है, that means you are a learner which can recall things by just listening. Most of us से मुराद ये over 40 वाले, including me, we belong to this generation. हम लोग इस तरह से पढ़े हुए हैं, हम लोगों के बचपन इस तरह से गुजरा है। We are like this. हम इसको रिटेन कर सकते हैं सुन के, हम सुन लेते हैं बड़ों की, you can say. On the other hand, if you are not able to recall by listening, but you are wonderfully able to recall by looking at the data, that means you are the one who is more or less like a visual learner. And last but not the least, if you involve in something by drawing and by creating, that means you are putting and using multiple parts of your brains to have that activity. It will be very difficult for you to forget these drawings for a certain and a longer period of time. आपको ये तो भूल जाएगा मैंने कौन से नाम लिए थे, but it is very difficult for you to forget कि आपने draw क्या किया. So putting multiple parts of the brain, listening by visuals, and last but not the least by participating in the activity, that change everything. That is the everlasting way of keeping that information. So I personally suggest and request you guys that for every of your class, there should be an agenda that you must have a one activity which reflects the objective, which reflects that what you want to achieve out of this class. So that this class, when connected with the visual as well as with the auditory signals, as well as with the performance, that will going to utilize multiple parts of the brain of your students, और आप चाहें या ना चाहें, that will going to stay and retain in that student's mind for a longer period of time. So that is the logic and theme behind this STEM education, how we can change the environment of the class to help our students to get more knowledge or to get a better understanding from ourselves. So there are three types of learners we are. With that data, if you can recall, you can understand about yourself. कभी कभी हमें भी पता नहीं होता है, हम टीचर्स की मेथोडोलॉजी को जानते हैं, ये अच्छा टीचर है, ये कम अच्छा टीचर है, ये गुस्से वाला टीचर है, इसकी समझ आती है, उसकी समझ में नहीं आती. We know all these things. लेकिन हम ये नहीं समझते कि there are different types of learners over there. मेरी क्लास में दो तरह के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, ऑडिटरी लिसनर्स ज़्यादा हैं, विजुअल वाले थोड़े हैं, या विजुअल लिसनर्स ज़्यादा हैं. वो बोले तो I should know this data. I should be able to understand the information so that my students can respond better. मुझे पता होगा कि मेरी क्लास के स्टूडेंट किस तरह के हैं. तो यहाँ पर प्रॉब्लम ये नहीं है कि how we have different types of teachers. The logic is that we have different types of learners out there. ये वही मसला है जो हमारे घरों में हर रोज डिस्कस होता है. छोटे भाई को बड़े भाई का रेफरेंस देके डांटा जाता है कि उसको देखा वो कितना अच्छा है, तुम ऐसे हो. छोटी बहन को डांटा जाता है, तुम्हारी बड़ी बहन तो ऐसे नहीं करती थी, वो तो ऐसे नहीं करती थी. समथिंग लाइक दैट. वी आर नॉट सेम सॉर्ट ऑफ लर्नर्स. हम अलग अलग किस्म के लर्नर्स हैं, एक ही घर में पड़े हो रहे हैं, एंड वी आर रिस्पॉन्डिंग इन अ डिफरेंट वे. दैट इज व्हाट वी शुड नो. एंड after that, please use that data to classify yourself and to help yourselves to understand your students as well. And I am not going to write any conclusion over there. I request you guys to please write one conclusion for me out of this session where we have learned how we learn things. आप मुझे एक statement, एक line दे देंगे, that will be very precious for me. I will going to use the wisdom in your line, in your statement, and will try to adopt and learn out of these things. Thank you very much for that. This is the end of the session, but I will going to add another file on the Google Classroom for you guys. I am adding another file, and please use that file to write one statement about the conclusion of that session. ये क्लास ये अभी अपीयर नहीं होगी, और वो लोग जिनके पास एक्सेस नहीं है, प्लीज राइट द conclusion on your page. I just need one statement that will be good enough for me as a take out from you guys. मैं आप लोगों की मौजूदगी को ना मिस नहीं करना चाहता. आप लोगों का विजडम, आपका दिमाग में जो बात है वो लेके जाना चाहता हूँ. Just give me one line और Google Classroom अभी आ जाएगा. जो रिफ्रेश करेंगे क्या? Okay. I don't know who's that. नहीं पर This is not your feedback. This is something which I want from you guys. कि हम सीखते किस तरह से हैं और what was your conclusion. Just write your conclusion. There is no right and wrong, there is no good and bad. हम जितने लोग हैं हम सब लोग versatile अलग अलग अपने feelings. And the form will be anonymous, so it will be like I don't know who is writing what. They are asking me to end the session for a tea break. You need tea?
I want to go in my office.
Me too. You need tea? Huh? Huh?
May I consume the episode 1 and 2 in a very
Well, whatever the way you like to.
what I've seen from all the sections is from the first episode, it's like 3 idiots had a face. And second one is the way forward.
The way forward. And in our second session, we will see what are the things we need to know. इसको apply करने के लिए हमारे पास कौन-कौन सी strengths होनी चाहिए. Technology, क्या हमें सीखना क्या है, क्या हमें नहीं आता या क्या हमें चाहिए. That will going to conclude the session, the day. It's always difficult to listen for a longer period of time, I can tell you. But we will try again. It's going to be a worthy session for you. Please, officially it's a tea break, so you guys can go and have fun with your tea. When you come back, we will do. When you come back, we will do 2 activities. Okay, 2 scientific activities which are not part of your syllabus. It is not supposed to be part of your major, and we will test ourselves. Okay, what is the knowledge we are having before that activity, and what is the knowledge we generate after that activity. We will be able to compare our state of the mind, our state of the learning as well. We have 2 small, simple activities we will do, and then the session will be completed. We will move to the second session. So I think the tea is ready somewhere. I don't know, but somewhere. Please have fun.